Premier Life and Annuities, the National Marketing Director. And first and foremost, always want to thank you for taking your time to be with us this morning. Today we're going to have a part 3 of our 3-part series of the power of whole life. And today we're going to cover some case studies and closing the sale. And our presenter today is Seth Brough, Life Sales Manager at Assurity Life Insurance Company. Seth, thank you for being with us today, and I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, Brian, and thanks, everybody, for taking a little bit of time today to learn a little bit more about Assurity's participating whole life and how Assurity and Premier companies can help you grow your business in 2014. You know, at the beginning of this year in 2014, I decided that my #1 priority, my #1 focus was going to be to grow Assurity's participating whole life sales. And the reason I selected that as my primary objective is because it's a product that I believe is designed for Middle America. And if you look at Assurity and you look at the markets that we focus on, we take pride in providing products that will help protect Middle America. And I truly believe that participating whole life is one of these products. And so as a result, we partnered with Premier to do this 3-part webinar series about the power of whole life, and hopefully give you some ideas of how you can immediately start talking to individuals about whole life in your current practice. If you missed the first 2 webinar series, what we covered in those first 2 webinar series, in the first one we covered the product and some real simple sales ideas with participating whole life. In the second one we covered some various sales systems such as infinite banking, be your own banker, circle of wealth, just basically utilizing a participating whole life plan to fund major purchases. And then in this last webinar, what we're going to cover is we're going to look at some specific case studies, and we're going to look at how to overcome some of the common objectives in order to help you close the sales. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're actually going to spend quite a bit of time in the illustration system looking at how to run the numbers, how to overcome the objections, and really give you the tools to go out and start talking to clients about participating whole life today. So, you know, one of the #1 reasons why individuals don't buy life insurance and don't buy participating whole life insurance is because it's not their primary financial objective. You know, if you sit down with your clients and you ask them what their primary financial objective is, the answers that you're probably going to get are going to be, you know, possibly start a savings account, pay off debt, fund retirement, maybe save for their child's education, maybe purchase a car. Whatever the case might be, the reality is that their primary financial objective is probably not to buy a participating whole life policy. So in order to overcome that objection of it not being their primary objective, what we have to do is we have to show them how we can help them achieve their other financial goals utilizing a whole life plan. And so as a result, they get the participating whole life plan in place, and they can still accomplish their primary financial objective. So that's the first concept that we're going to look at today in today's webinar. And like I said, we're going to jump into the software. We're going to run the numbers. I'm going to show you a tool that will help you close the sale, and as a result, we're going to have a lot of success selling participating whole life. So let me set up the first scenario for you and what we're going to look at. We're going to look at a retirement plan. So let's say that you're speaking with an individual, and this individual is going to be a 33-year-old male, and he's a small business owner. And when you start talking to him about his financial priority or financial goals, he indicates that he wants to start something for savings for retirement. But after talking to him, and due to the fact that he is a small business owner, the thing that you realize, or the thing that he realizes, is that cash flow is very important to him. And so when you talk about the different tools or different vehicles that he can use for retirement, the one thing that he doesn't like about qualified plans is he doesn't like the limitations that the qualified plans have on accessing the cash. And so he's looking for something that has a little bit more liquidity. And so sitting with this individual, I talked to him about a tool that we have, and this tool that we have that can help him achieve his financial goal for retirement is going to have 4 qualities. And these 4 qualities, the first one's going to be guarantees. The second quality is going to be growth. The third quality is going to be liquidity. And the fourth quality is going to be tax efficient. And I tell him that if I can show him a tool that gives him all 4 of those qualities, is that something that he's going to be interested in? And obviously he says yes, and so this is what I'm going to show him. So remember, this is a 33-year-old male, and we're looking at setting up, utilizing a whole life plan to help him achieve his financial objectives. Now, in order to achieve his financial objectives, what we have to look at in this cash value life insurance is we have to ensure that we maximize the cash value. And so if you just saw what I just changed on the screen, as I changed my input type from input premium, or excuse me, I changed it to input premium for max cash value accumulation. What this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to enter in a monthly premium commitment. And in this example, I do $500 a month, and it allows me to input a maximum, or input a monthly premium commitment. And what this does is it calculates the best ratio of base premium and paid up additions rider to maximize cash value. And I'll show you what I mean. When I select that rider, you can see that the value enhancement rider here is selected. This is our paid up additions rider. What this rider does is it basically allows a portion of that premium to go straight to the cash. And as a result, it's going to turbocharge the cash value. And so we're going to be able to utilize this plan. We're going to be able to maximize the cash value and help him achieve that financial goal of saving for retirement. And so if we come out and we look at this particular illustration, what you'll notice is that this $500 a month premium commitment, we have it divided up into 2 things. You can see that the monthly premium commitment, we have $213 going to the base policy, and we have $286 going to the value enhancement rider. So this is the best ratio of premium to cash value, or excuse me, a base policy to paid up additions rider to maximize the cash value. But let's look at and see if this plan is going to have those 4 qualities that I promised my client. Remember that I promised my client that we're going to have guarantees. I promised my client that we're going to have growth, liquidity, and tax efficiency. So if we come out and we look at age 65, we know that this individual has, or let's look at age 63, 30 years down the road. So at age 63, 30 years down the road, we would have paid 60,000 times, or 60,000 every 10 years, or 180,000. And my guaranteed cash value in this plan is 235,000. You see that there's the guaranteed cash value column. And if I look at the guaranteed cash value, you can see that my guaranteed cash value is 235,000. So when I said that we guarantee that he can achieve his financial objectives, we paid 180 and we're guaranteed 230. So that claim is already true. The second claim that I made is that I said I could get him something in addition to the guarantees, some additional growth. And on the non-guaranteed values, you can see that the non-guaranteed values are actually 344,000. So we paid 180, and our cash value has grown all the way to 344,000 on the non-guaranteed values. Now, those non-guaranteed values aren't based on past performance. They're not based on future projections. The non-guaranteed values are based on what we're currently paying on the current dividend scale. So it's a pretty realistic expectation for the client. The third thing that we promised this individual was liquidity. So if he has ups and downs in his business during any of the years, he would be able to access this cash value for whatever the case might be. He wouldn't have to pay any penalties. He wouldn't have to answer any questions. He would be able to take a policy loan or withdraw against the policy and access that money for whatever his business needs. So the third quality, the fact that he was looking for liquidity, we got him that as well. And then finally, the third thing that he wanted was tax efficiency. Remember, we did the best ratio of the base premium and the value enhancement rider to maximize the cash value. And so as a result, we snuggled up to that MEC line, but we didn't cross it. So as a result, he's going to be able to access this cash value on a tax favorable basis, and so he's going to be able to access this money the most way efficient, and that's going to be tax-free. So out of those 4 qualities that I promised this individual, I was able to deliver those 4 qualities in this max-funded whole life plan. But now this individual might come back to me and say, well, Seth, yeah, that sounds all great and dandy, but I can probably get the same thing in some other type of investment. And so what I say is okay, well, how about, let's say this person's pretty analytical. I say, what if I can show you how this plan would compare to some other type of financial investment? Let's say that you're going out and you're putting this money, the same $6,000 premium, into some other taxable investment. Would you be interested in taking a look at how it compares? And of course the answer is going to be yes, because we live in a very comparative culture where we're always comparing our options. Now, I'm not saying that life insurance is always going to be the best solution. All I'm saying that in a comparative situation, life insurance might appear to be the better solution, and I have a tool that can help me show that to the client. And that tool that I'm going to use is going to be a supplemental illustration software called InsMark. And if you're contracted through Premier, you can actually access InsMark. Premier will actually give you InsMark for free, and you can run these illustrations, but these illustrations really do a great job of comparing the alternatives, and as a result, helping overcome the objection. I can go out and do better somewhere else to achieve that financial objective. So what I do is I launch InsMark from the illustration system. That way all this data is going to be uploaded into the InsMark illustration. Again, InsMark doesn't replace the illustration. It just is used as a supplement. As you can see, I'm going to do another investment versus this policy. And the basic data, I'm going to illustrate through year 32. That will get me through to age 65. I'm going to leave it at a 28% tax bracket. My investment details, I'm going to compare it to any taxable investment at a 4% interest. And that individual might come back and say, well, you're comparing it to 4%. I can get better than that. But where can you get better than 4% and that you're going to get all four of those qualities? Remember, one of the main qualities that I talked about was the guarantees. And the reality is you're not going to be able to get the guarantees of a whole life plan with somewhere where you're going to get more than 4%. And actually, if you're going to get guarantees, 4% might be a stretch. So I think this is a realistic expectation if we're going to find a place with the same guarantees. I have pre-selected some of these the reports. I like to keep it simple, but I'll go ahead and launch this and show you how you can use this to overcome the objection that they can get a better return or they can achieve their financial goal more effectively somewhere else. So what we have going on here, you can see the 33-year-old male, investment yield of 4%. You can see the $6,000 going into the plan. You can see that here in this fourth column over here, this is the year-end account value, and this is going to be their after-tax value. You can see we compare this to the whole life. You can see what the cash value at any particular year is in the whole life plan. At the end, after the first 10 years, you can see that the taxable account actually has more with $70,000 compared to $60,000. But remember, we're using this account. The primary objective of this is to achieve the financial goal of retirement. So we're really not as concerned during the first years. And in addition to that, remember that we have this death benefit that comes along with it that you don't get with any taxable account. But I want to point out that eventually something awesome happens, and you can see that in year 18, what happens? The cash value in the whole life plan actually passes this any taxable account. And so you can see that after 20 years, in this taxable account, we have $163,000. In the whole life, we have $170,000. And we have a lot more death benefit in the whole life as well. But if we go all the way out and look at in year 32 at age 65, you can see that the whole life has a pretty significant advantage because now we have $389,000 of cash in the whole life compared to $317,000 of cash in any taxable account. So in order to help them achieve that financial goal, we just proved to them that in order to achieve that, actually the whole life is more efficient. Now, what would they have to get in order to match the whole life? I can show that to them as well. On this next screen, I can show them that in order to match the whole life over those 32 years, they would actually have to get a return of 5.52% to match the whole life. Now, where can you get that 5.52% every year with the same guarantees that a whole life provides, in addition to the death benefits that we have that entire time that will allow the plan to self-complete if they die prematurely. Because in order to even match that death benefit, they would have to earn a 10.18% on their money to match that death benefit, which is probably not likely. So I've already just showed you how to overcome two objections that arise with selling whole life. And the first one is that life insurance is not my primary objective. Well, then if that's your objective, you have to show them, or excuse me, if that's their objection, you have to show them how you can help them achieve their financial goals utilizing a whole life plan. And then the second one is that that whole life is not the most efficient way to achieve their financial goals. And we just showed you how you can prove to them that whole life is a good solution in a comparative manner in that type of an example. So everything's fine, they're all happy, they like that, but they say, okay, fine, great, but how does a whole life plan work in distributions? I set up this plan because I wanted to use it for retirement, so how does this plan illustrate when I actually want to start taking money? How does it compare to the other alternatives that I have when I want to start taking money? Well, I say, great, I can show you that as well, but let me ask you a question. When you turn 65, do you want to continue premiums or do you want premiums to stop? And after visiting with him, he says, you know, I really want to premiums to stop. And I said, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll execute reduced paid up insurance at age 65. That way we won't have to continue any premiums after the age of 65. And what we'll do is we'll illustrate some cash coming out of this plan. And so what we'll do is, now remember, you contributed to this plan for basically 32 years. So from age 33 to age 65, we contributed $6,000. And what we're going to do to keep the math easy is we're going to actually take out $12,000 out of this plan for 30 years. So from 65 to 95, we're going to take $12,000 out for retirement and see how this looks. So remember, we stopped premiums at age 65, and then we're going to show, or we're going to illustrate loans coming out of this policy as distributions so that we can supplement our retirement. So we input $6,000 for 32, and we're going to take out $12,000 for 30. That's what we're going to show them. When we look at the illustration, a couple of things that I want to point out to you and to the client is that I want to prove to them that what I said is true. As you can see, the contract premium in year 33 goes to 0. That's because I executed the reduced paid up. We still keep all of our cash value, and we do keep some death benefit. Our death benefit dropped a little bit because we did reduce paid up, but you can see it's still very competitively $756,000, and we drop it to $715,000, so we still have a significant portion of that death benefit. You'll also notice that we have distributions coming out of this plan, $12,000, just like I said, and we take that $12,000 out to age 95. At the end of that 30 years of taking those distributions, I want to point out that we still have $347,000 on the non-guaranteed side. And that's pretty amazing that we've taken out that much money for 30 years. We've basically taken out $360,000, and we still have $347,000 in this plan. So we put 60 in, or we put about 180 in, and we've taken out 360, and we still have 347,000 left, and we still have 472,000 of death benefit. And that's pretty impressive. You know, this policy, we did take policy loans, so interest is building up on this, and you can see that that's kind of the turning point where interest really starts to eat away from this plan. If we don't take any more distributions, interest will actually lapse this plan in year at age 109. But as you can see, we took out a lot more money than we put into this plan. And one of the illustrations that I like to use, InSmart illustrations that I like to use to illustrate this point is, I'll show you here, we'll do a new, it's called a life plan illustration. And this life plan illustration, what this does is it just basically easily illustrates the money coming out of the plan. So we're going to illustrate this through year 63 because remember that will get us to age 95. I've selected some real simple report selections. I click preview, and this just does a nice job of laying out the information for the client and in an easy to understand manner. So as you can see, we paid $6,000 a year for 32 years in this whole life plan. So our total premiums that we paid are $192,000. Cash value at retirement is $389,291, and our death benefit has grown to $756,690. That's great. That's in the accumulation stage. At retirement, at age 65, when we begin distributions, we take $12,000 a year for 30 years, and that's $360,000 distributions. But in addition to that distribution, at age 96, we still have $337 of cash, and our death benefit is still $457. And so you can see that this InSmart illustration does a good job of crunching the numbers and laying it out for the client in an easy to understand manner. And if your client is more visual, I like using this report. You can see the cumulative premiums was $192,000 compared to the distributions of $360,000. So you put in $192, we took out $360, and we still have $330,000 at age 95, and we still have this death benefit in place as well. And so this is a good way to illustrate to that individual and overcome that objection that it's about helping them achieve their financial goal. And this is a great solution and a great way to use a max-funded whole life plan to accomplish that financial objective. So this is what I use. This is a great illustration to show them, and this is one way that I sell a lot of participating whole life. Now, the last case study that I want to talk to you today about is to overcome the basic objection that we often get from clients, and that's the objection about, they say, well, I don't want cash value life insurance. I don't like cash value life insurance. I've been told that I should buy term and invest the difference, right? There's many financial entertainers out there that don't believe in cash value life insurance and say that a client is better off to buy term insurance and invest the difference opposed to buying a cash value life insurance. And what I want to show them, or what I want to show you today, is how you can overcome this objection utilizing a participating whole life and utilizing InSmart, and showing them just exactly how the two compare. And so in this example, I'm going to assume that a 35-year-old female walks into your office and says that she wants to buy $250,000 of term life insurance. And the question that I ask agents is, do you just stop right there and write the $250,000 of life insurance because that's what she asked for, or do you start asking some additional questions? Let's hypothetically say that you do start asking some additional questions, and as a result, after asking some questions, you find out that she's actually buying this, or that she bought a new house, and so she wanted life insurance as mortgage protection, which is fine, but you also find out that she's also investing $6,000 a year into another taxable account. So basically her strategy right now is to buy term insurance, and in theory she's investing the difference, right, because she's putting it into another taxable account. Well, let's show her how it compares her current strategy to a participating whole life plan. And so the first thing that I do is I come out here and I run the illustration, and I want to get the term quote. And so Assurity has a great non-med term product, non-med term 350. We sell a lot of this product. It's a great product. It serves a great need. It's non-medically underwritten, so the individual can get term life insurance in a convenient manner. Non-med means that it's underwritten using the application, MIB, script check, motor vehicle report. It's a great product. We sell a lot of it, but I'm going to show you how you can transition from a non-med term sale into a participating whole life sale. So I have a 35-year-old female, $250,000 of Select Plus non-tobacco, best rate for non-med term 350, 30-year term, and when we look at the cost of this, you can see that the cost of this for $250,000 is $402.50 for a 30-year term for a 35-year-old male. So I'm going to write that down. We'll look at that. It's $402.50, and so that's great. Now let's go back and let's look and see what the cost for the same individual would be for whole life insurance. So I switch it to whole life insurance. I'm going to switch it to select non-tobacco, $250,000. Annual premium, and when I come out and I look at this, I can see that the cost for this 35-year-old female, $250,000, is going to be $2,972.50. And so now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, well, Seth, there's no way that I can turn this $400 term sale into a $2,972 whole life sale. But here's what you have to do. You have to remember that that individual, she told you that she's putting $6,000 into another investable account. So we need to get that $6,000. So if we get that $6,000 and we take $2,972.50 for the base policy, that leaves us $3,027.50 to put into the value enhancement rider. So I'm going to come out here, add the value enhancement rider, and we're going to put the remainder of that $6,000 she's putting into an investable account into the value enhancement rider, and we're going to see how buying term and investing the difference compares to this participating whole life. So we have that. I come out and I click preview, and what I want to show you is that when we come out here, now you can see that our premium is $6,000, which is the same premium she's putting into the other investable account. We have the life insurance, so we're actually saving her money because otherwise she would have to pay that $402 out of pocket. But now it's time to crunch the numbers, and the best way to crunch those numbers again in a comparative manner is to use InsMark illustration system. So I come out here and I'm going to create a new client. I'm going to do term and invest the difference. This one, clients love it, agents love it, and it's a really good tool. I'm going to compare it for 30 years because that's how long our term insurance is going to run. I'm going to do an any taxable investment, and I'll leave it at 5%. That's very competitive for an any taxable investment. The premium for it, I'm going to input total premium including policy fee. And remember that the total premium was $402, so I'm going to put $402, enter this in all the way down for 30 years because we're going to pay for this insurance for 30 years. Then we come out and do the term death benefit, level death benefit amount, $250,000 from age 35 to age 64. Go ahead and click apply there. Have the reports all selected, click preview. And now we can take a look and compare the two different options. So the first thing that I want to point out is kind of what's going on here. You can see the $6,000 that she's putting into a taxable investment. We subtract out the cost of the term insurance. That leaves $5,598 for that taxable investment, earning 5%. Here's what she receives in the taxable investment account. So this is going to be compared to the cash value, and then here's the death benefit. With LifeScape Whole Life, you can see we have a little bit lower cash value in the initial years, but remember, we're using this money for retirement, but we actually have a higher death benefit. But if we compare these cash values and the taxable investment compared to the whole life, you can see that the whole life starts to gain ground. And in year 20, we've actually passed it. And in fact, we actually pass it in year 18. You can see that, well, actually in year 19 we passed it. We have $154,000 in the any taxable account and $156,000 in the whole life plan. So at that point we pass it. We look all the way out at year 30. You can see that we have $304,000 of cash value in the in the taxable account, and then we have $341,000 in the participating whole life. And so the buy term and invest the difference strategy, we just proved that whole life is actually a better strategy because we end up with more cash value and we end up with a lot more death benefit. But this is just for the 30 years that term insurance is enforced. What happens after that 30 years when that term insurance expires? It goes to annual renewable term. And at that point, it gets really expensive, or it completely drops off. And so I show this. I'll go back and I'll show this as well. I'll show what it looks like if you illustrate year 34, just one more year, when that term falls off, because that is going to show you a dramatic. You keep the cash value, right? But here now, look at the death benefit. At age 65, when you need that death benefit, because you might not be insurable, now you have a dramatic difference because that term life insurance drops off. So this is a tool that I use. A common objection that I often get is, well, I don't want whole life insurance. I read a book and I'm supposed to buy term and invest the difference. And, the people out there that promote those strategies, they have a lot of great information. I like a lot of the information they use to pay off debt. But one area that I disagree with them on is buying cash value life insurance. Because if you look at these numbers, this proves that buying term and investing the difference compared to a participating whole life, the participating whole life actually comes out on top. And so, actually, in order to meet it, the buy term and invest the difference strategy, they would actually have to earn a 5.92% on that account. So with that, that's my 30 minutes. Hopefully we were able to share a couple of case studies with you in regarding how to use whole life and overcome a couple of objections. The reality is whatever the objection is, I just try to lay it out on the table. I show them what I have to offer and what we can do to overcome it. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Brian. And Brian, I don't know if there's any questions or not, but that's what I had prepared for us today.
All right, thanks, Seth. There were several questions. I answered as many as I could here. In the meantime, if yours didn't get answered, you can call a life marketer after the call, and you can go through that question with a life marketer. Our number's on the screen. It's 800-365-8208. And once again, just ask for a life marketer. And I want to thank everybody for their time today. Thank you, and you have a great day.
Thanks.